Hello, welcome back to my channel, and this is Katie, and I am very excited for this card. I love this stamp set from the new Avery Elle release called Peekaboo Summer Pals. I call them Floaty Pals because we will be floating in our pool soon in our little floaties, and I'm very excited. So what I'm doing is I have kind of a grayish brownish tone and a blue paper. I'm going to use my Stampin' Up! Oval Thinlits and cut these are the two largest oval shaped ones. The largest one in the set is like a scalloped oval. So the largest regular oval I cut out of blue, and then out of this grayish, mostly gray, kind of maybe a hint of brown tone, I'm going to make like a rim for the pool. So I'm going to take the largest and the second largest and put them together, and then I'm putting the washi tape on the back of my hand first to make it a little less sticky, and it actually is still even too sticky. You'll see when I go to pull it off. But now I'm just trying to center the smaller one inside the bigger one to create a frame that's going to come out. And the bottom one started to rip the paper, so I decided to peel it up from the inside, so I kind of have to scrape the washi. I always pull up any washi that I'm holding down for die cuts very carefully in case it rips. And then here I'm just scraping off, since it wasn't really meant to be die cut like this, like I invented a frame with two dies. I'm scraping off the remnants from the die cut itself. So the little paper hairs that can sometimes stay on the paper there. So then I'm putting the Big Shot away, and then I just need to glue the frame down onto the pool. And I'm going to use my Tombow Mono multi-glue, just because, honestly, because it's not clogged all the time like my glossy accents, but I also know that I'm going to need to wiggle this around, and the glossy accents is going to dry very quickly, and this actually gives you some wiggle room, so people prefer to use this when they need to possibly shift something that they are gluing down. And so I just spend a little bit of time making sure that it covers the blue edges, and then I end up using a block, and I squeezed out some glue, so I was just scraping that out. Used a block to kind of flatten it onto there. And then I want to make it look like water. So I'm going to use the little waves from Smooth Sailing from the new Lawn Fawn release. So I'm just grabbing a couple different sized waves and putting those on blocks. And then I'm going to grab my Distress ink, one of my boxes that I store my little inks in. And I'm going to use Mermaid Lagoon. And then I actually do something a little more to the waves at the end that I ended up really liking, because I think they were just missing a little something here. So you will see towards the end what that is. So I'm just kind of creating a random pattern. I'm not quite sure where my floaty guy is going to go yet, but this ends up working out just fine. And so we're going to use the shark. That is the one my husband picked out. I'm just going to mount up the shark, and then the fins that go with him. I've matched everyone else to their little flippers or fins or hands, and I'm pretty sure these are the sharks. They seem to match him pretty well. And then I'm going to color him in, so I will be showing you the C markers that I'm using to color him and his little fins in. And then eventually I thought I was only going to end up using one of his little fin arms, but then I come up with a plan to use the other one as well, and another Lawn Fawn set. So it works out very well in the end. So I'm using C7 and C5, and my plan was to use C7 and C5 on the areas I've already colored a little bit on. And then on the inside where his mouth is, I was going to use C3 and C2, and I was going to leave my C1 out of it. But I decided that this area was too big for just a two-tone Copic blend. So I went with C7, C5, and then C3 in these areas. And then I do C2 and C1 in the area, like his tummy up to his mouth, in the last area. So I'm just blending, blending, blending. You can see, especially when this is sped up, you can see when I go back over the C7, it lightens up. So if you use your lighter markers and go back over the dark, you can kind of pull that dark out in order to make it blend with the rest. You just keep going over it and going over it. And any bleed through on the back of the paper in this case doesn't matter as long as it's not bleeding out. If you have a good paper, this is my Paper Tray Ink Stamper Select white cardstock from their website, and I'm just using Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I don't have bleeding problems. I can't remember the last time I had a Copic bleeding problem, and I know that when I did, I was very confused as to why, but it might have been I might have grabbed a different paper or something, I don't know. But with this combination, I haven't had any bleeding from too much blending in a very long time that I can remember at all. So then he is all blended out. And then I realized I needed the floaty. I definitely forgot about that. So I am just inking up the floaty and stamping that. I am loving the quality of Avery Elle stamps. I believe their website, either their website or their stamps themselves, somewhere, it might be their website, says we have searched and we have found the best quality photopolymer, blah, blah, blah. But I almost felt like everyone said that, everyone who had photopolymer stamps. But they might be right. So these stamped for the first time out of the package very impressively, with no, with my ink and no little hairs or anything, fibers or anything like that. So I was very impressed. I haven't cracked open a new Avery Elle stamp set in a long time. So here I'm only blending 2. I probably could have gone for 3. I do a 3 blend on the inner portion of the floaty, and I was just testing some colors there. But I just do a 2 blend for the dots, and then for the inner portion, the non-dot area, I do a 3 blend with 3 yellows. And the first yellow that I use, I actually just got yesterday. I picked up 3 new Copic markers. I end up using another one of them later, coloring another item. So this Napoli yellow, Y19, I picked up because I had a picture. I went shopping with my mom and we were at Joann's, and I had a picture of my color chart, my hex chart on my phone, my most recent update of it. So I figured out which ones I did not have. And I have a pretty photographic memory, so I kind of know the colors and the names that I own. That's not to say I haven't duplicate bought a few times by accident, but I'm pretty sure I had never seen Napoli yellow in my stash, and so but I have my chart anyway. It didn't matter. So I bought that one, and then she let me use a coupon on another one, like a 50% off. And, or no, she let me use the 50% off coupon that came out on that marker. And then I went back after I brought my mom to the car and left her there. I went back in and got 2 more with the 60% off and 40% off. I took advantage of the Memorial Day sales. And I also got a cart to store my colored paper. I'm going to be covering a review on that in tomorrow's video. But I'm just going to die cut those out, but I paused for that. And then I cut the slit in the floaty so that he can go in there. And I'm just going to add some foam tape to the back of the pool to lift it up. But before I do that, I'm going to stamp the sentiment just directly onto the bottom of the card. At Joann's, I had a moment because I was up at the register and then I realized they had Copics out in the open that I could grab that were not locked up. And I was in like a shady city, not gonna lie. That's just where we happened to be. And I was like, why aren't these locked up? And she's like, oh, we keep them up here now. and they're out, but somebody has to be in that register. And she like pointed across from her 24/7 to keep an eye on them. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Cause like I hate asking for people to unlock the Copic case. I also, my local craft store, one of them, recently started locking up stamp sets. And so you have to ask someone, and it's just not fun to shop that way. And so, to be honest, I don't really shop there anymore for stamp sets. The paper is loose, luckily. But the stamp sets have a little lock on them on the little hook that they're on. So someone has to come unlock it. You have to tell them which one you want. And then I'm pretty sure you don't even get to carry it in your cart. You have to give it to them, and they have to put it up at the front. Like, I'm not going to steal. I know that people do, but it makes it really not fun to shop. And I'm sorry that it's come to that. But anyway, that's just me bitching. This is me putting down foam tape that goes off the edge and then trimming it off from the front. I've talked about doing that before. It's saved me a lot of time fussing with pieces of foam tape. If you just get your scissors squeezed in there and don't chop off any part of the shark, and then you can just cut it off from the front. It's a lot easier. So I was playing with his arms, and I was like, okay, one of his little flipper arms looks fine. I didn't try very hard to tuck that underneath, and it didn't look right where I just had it. So I'm just going to stick down his one flipper. And then I was going to leave it at that, but I decided he needed something, and that something is a drink. And I don't know what sharks drink, but you can imagine whatever drink you want. It is orange. So whatever is orange, maybe it's a screwdriver. Maybe I just wanted to match his floaty. So I tucked his arm back there, and I was like, oh, his other arm can be holding his drink. So let's do that. So I'm using E37, E35, and E34 to turn this into kind of like a coconut. I'm just going to pretend it's coconut. And so I'm just using the spherical flicking blending method, and then filling in the rest and blending out, making sure you color all over it with my E34. And then I'm just going to use one orange YR16 to fill in his drink. And then his ocean-friendly stainless steel straw is C5. He's got to protect those fish if he wants to eat them. And then two pinks. I was trying to figure out if I wanted a certain pink. I'm just going to use RV13 to blend out for his umbrella. And then I also give him a cheek with RV13, and then I use my white pen to add an accent. I will be adding more accents with my white pen, and I'm just tapping it off because this tends to kind of like clog up on me, but not really clog, but it's just not a steady stream, and I have to open it up by tapping it. So I'm just adding some white accents, and I'm using my other new marker, E39, called Leather, to add some dots onto his coconut cup. And then I'm going to die cut that out. I will save you some time and pause while I do that. So I've die cut it out. I'm just going to put some glue on the back and put it in his hand. And I realized it was a little off of his floaty, so I'm going to grab a little piece of foam tape that flew off to the side and just tuck that under the drink to support it. Then I'm going to use my white pen for the remainder of the card. I'm just going to add some accents to the drink. And then, and I added like little slits so it looks like the straw is a bendy straw. I decided to add like sea foam on top of the water. So I'm glad I thought of that because it looks a lot better with it. And that's what little ocean frothy waves would look like. So I'm just doing those from there. And that completes the card. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another video. Bye.